From the Gospel of John. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" Jews do not share things in common with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have no bucket, and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us the well, and with his sons and his flocks drank from it?" Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But those who drink of the water that I will give them will never be thirsty. The water that I will give will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life."
One thing that is quite commonly felt about Christmas is that it's the moment to offer hospitality. We have dinner with our family, we invite our friends to celebrate Christmas together, and we send Christmas cards to our family, relatives, and friends. Surprisingly, the popular tradition that developed around the story of Nativity sometimes went to the opposite direction. One popular tradition even goes so far as to picture Joseph and Mary knocking on the doors of every house and inn in Bethlehem, asking if they could have a place to give birth to the baby Jesus. But the people refused them in a hostile way. However, this is not written in any biblical text. The Gospel of Luke simply states that Mary gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in a band of clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no place for them in the inn. It will be interesting to explore the text further because perhaps this very brief information does not necessarily imply a rejection by the people of Bethlehem. What if the story of Nativity was not primarily about rejection and hostility, but more about hospitality, the hospitality of the poor? The Bible text we read today begins with hospitality. A Samaritan woman offers hospitality to Jesus, not in her house, but by the well. However, the conversation started with an awkward feeling on the part of the Samaritan woman. She asked Jesus, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" The writer of the Gospel of John adds this information. Jews do not share things in common with the Samaritans. So at that time, there was a prejudice on the part of the Jews and the Samaritans against each other, which separated these people. But here, Jesus takes a step further to go beyond it. By overcoming the barrier of prejudice, he starts a conversation with this Samaritan woman. A dialogue takes place between them. It begins with a talk about water to meet the needs of the body. Then it continues deeper with a talk about living water. Yes, through dialogue, we exchange and we enrich one another. Dialogue is not a discussion. Dialogue is not just a matter of ideas and arguments. True dialogue, first of all, is about an encounter, a daring encounter with the other who is different from us. It begins with an act of hospitality, which is the fertile grounds for the seeds of openness and trust to germinate and grow. Through dialogue, we learn that our differences are not necessarily a problem, but a gift that can nourish and enrich our lives. Dialogue then can become for us a means of appreciating the diversity of life. It becomes a way of living in harmony in the midst of differences. Dialogue even can become a space of fostering unity in the midst of diversity.